What is up, guys? You get NotTheWorst here, bringing another Black Desert online video, and today we're taking a look at a day one-ish, day 1.5 or whatever, endgame PvE guide for the new class Dosa. Obviously, this will probably get changed, updated over time. This is just kind of an early onset to give you something to kind of work with or tweak with, you know, as we progress and kind of get more used to how the class interacts and what spots it grinds really well at, and that sort of thing. So just kind of a starting point, so keep that in mind. Obviously, this isn't a definitive end-all be-all. I'm sure there's plenty of other options and things that you guys have found that's worked. This is just what's been, you know, I've been using at least to a pretty decent extent, so just kind of wanted to share that. And then as things kind of solidify over the next week or so, then we'll do, you know, kind of a normal guide like I do on another one where it's a full breakdown, and pretty confident the DPS is pretty optimal from there. So first, let's just talk about the skill add-ons that we're using for this. The thing about add-ons nowadays, after the big revamp of add-ons last November 2023, they don't matter that much. I mean, obviously it matters because you want access to your more important things earlier on, attack speed, etc. You definitely want to have those earlier on, but it is not like 100% has to be a specific way for you, because once you have them up, you have all of them up now thanks to the changes that are in them. So this is what we have that's pairing with the skill rotation that we're going to use as well. Obviously, if you tweak the skill rotation, you want to adjust your add-ons accordingly to make sure you have them up in the same order as before. But again, once you've gone through a single rotation, you're gonna have every add-on, and you just keep kind of cycling them. So it's not as important as it has been in the past. But there you have it for those. Same basic idea as usual. We want to prioritize things like attack speed or get our monster damage early. DP minus on there. We do have some skills that want a little bit of crit rate, so we add that in there. Although, as you'll see, he can build his own crit rate up 42% on his own, which is pretty significant. But when you're working with skills that have like virtually none, it's not quite enough. So we still want to put it on there. Plus, we have a lot of overlap on other skills that we just end up with extra things. Back attack, critical hit damage. Obviously, if you're at a spot like, let's say, City of the Dead, or more importantly, Tungrad Ruins, you can put in there, you want to fit in things like down attack. If you're not grinding a spot like that, don't use down attack because it's completely irrelevant from there. But yeah, like I said, not too much to cover as far as skill add-ons go these days. It's kind of straightforward, and you can honestly, you'll have a difficult time screwing up your add-ons ever since that revamp of last year. So those are the add-ons that we have. The skill rotation that ties into. Let's go ahead and get started on. All right, so I'll pull up the rotation. I'm going to do both the key inputs on one side of the screen and then the actual skill names on the other, so that way, whichever way you prefer, they've both got the icons for them. You'll note that on some of them, you're actually holding a key for a few skills that are on it, so I just put the icons of the first skill instead of a very long list of a bunch of icons, because you're not doing anything other than literally pressing the same button. So this guy has a fog effect bonus that is kind of how everything works around. So you'll get this little icon for his fog effect that looks like this at stage 1, fog level 1. This goes up to level 4 from there, and it's important that you have it, period, because you get your 20 AP bonus. And then the critical hit rate, this is how we can get that up to 42%, which is going to be relevant on some skills, but not a ton of them, especially with what we're using in this rotation. But you do want to at least have that AP buff up at all times. So because of that, we're going to start with Cloud General. That gives us that right out of the way. And then after that, we're just going to use Cloud Veil. And this has a few swings of Cloud Veil. We're going to hold until he jumps in the air with his sword. So it will look like that. And then we're going to switch. Immediately, it does Twinge Slash, Final Slash, and Fog Cleave, which are all the same button. So if you're on PC, that's L and B after that. So it gives you that. We have maintain our AP buff throughout, and then right after that, this one is going to vary when you see the examples of when you do it. Obviously, you don't just mash the same buttons at all times, no matter what's happening on the screen. We have the Downpour, Blinding Slash, Shade Slash series of skills. Again, all one key, just F on PC. You're going to use this obviously to reposition yourself. It's just a lot more efficient at getting repositioned than say his dashes or anything like that. They're a little wonky in comparison as far as repositioning you right where you want to be around the mob. You can, of course, use them as needed, and you'll see in the example there are times when that comes up, using some of those to reposition. But ideally, this is just going to literally put you directly at the back of the mobs that you're fighting, and makes it therefore ideal. That getting used, then hopefully you're behind the mob when you do it, because now we're going to get into his shift skills essentially from here. And these have, I'm sure you've noticed, much longer animations. And before I walk through the series of these, although if you just read the combo, it's pretty straightforward. The thing about these skills is they are long, and you can cancel them. He has a skill called Mystify that will kind of do a quick cast of them. Here's the problem. The quick cast on these skills, if you choose to use those, it drops a pretty significant amount of DPS from the actual skills themselves. What I mean by that is this startup animation, although looks annoying on some of these skills, it's actually dealing extremely significant damage. So in practice, like just mystifying away these skills to give you a, you know, air quote quick cast on them. Number one, positioning is going to be annoying depending on the spot that you're grinding. So that's something to think about as far as like you just reposition yourself and what you're going to keep doing that every time you're using a specific skill because you want to get this quick cast, whatever. The repositioning is annoying. And two, other than the shift Q on a quick cast, you're leaving a significant amount of his damage out of there. You're also going to burn through the skills a lot quicker, and it's going to kind of throw off your rotation. The whole point of this rotation is to give you something you can use seamlessly, start from the bottom, and then rinse and repeat all the way through. So keep that in mind. These can be canceled, and maybe situationally you want to do that, but you are losing a good amount of damage out of his kit, which is kind of unnatural with what we've seen in a lot of other classes. Typically, you want to be canceling skills and getting the stronger of the 2 hits only. So anyways, after we get repositioned behind the mobs, so we're just shade slash, we're just going to go shift L and B. It'll give us a little quicker shift R and B, a little quicker shift Q, and then we're going to finish with just an E and a shift F. Obviously, pay attention to your you know, positioning in that. You might need to throw in, you know, a little side dash if you need it. You can even throw in our downpour, blinding slash, shade slash skills in there if you want to, but that's just a succession of how we're going to use those. And then the timing to rinse and repeat this is going to be a little bit unique, and the reason for that is Spring Frost and Summer Breeze. The first two are 10-second cooldowns, which is great for this skill rotation. Teguk, the Autumn Blitz, and Winter Squall are 14 seconds, and depending on where your E and Z buffs are, you're going to have to be a little bit smarter of what you're doing to get those on the second round. So what do I mean by that? We're probably going to throw in, there's a nice little filler skill in spacebar. You do have some other options you could use, like SLMB or SRMB to put in there, but spacebar seems to be working the best. So I'll show you what that looks like if we go all the way through the rotation, and then what happens on the second round. So here we're going to get into our big skills. And then we're going to repeat immediately on this. Actually, let's assume we have to reposition just because, right? You probably will. So we're going to go right back into it. And now watch the timing of our 14-second skills. It can be off a little bit here. So we may want to just throw a space bar in from there. Now, this is, you'll usually see this when you're on like Z or E. You have like attack speed bonuses. It's going to be a little more annoying for you there. But just that spacebar can just be thrown in, or like I said, if you prefer like an SLMB, an SRMB, and then you can SRMB into a straight LMB to reposition, whatever you need from there. But I like the spacebar personally, and it just gives you that extra time to make sure the cooldowns are up. You don't need it on the first one because you're just putting more space between when you're actually using the shift Q, and we want to damage dump as fast as we can when we're positioned directly behind the mobs. So that is pretty much it. You can just rinse and repeat with that combo. Obviously, mix and match if you have some other skills you think that are, you know, a little bit better slotted for certain positions in here. And definitely don't be afraid to use the Mystify mechanic when it makes sense to do it. You know, maybe you got a weird shade slash teleport that you didn't like, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to just actually Mystify this and then go through the rest of my combo here because it repositions me where I want to be. Like, obviously, that just makes sense at that point. So use your head, play a little bit heads up. Don't just be glued to the keyboard, pressing exactly the same inputs exactly every single time. You know, you need to play a little smarter, especially when you have these skills that have these longer animations in it. But like I said, I don't know that Mystify canceling every single one of those every single time makes a lot of sense for your DPS. So that is it for the demo or video for that. I'm going to let it play out of the demo, some of the grinding we've done during the stream the last day or so. So you can kind of check out how it actually works in action. You'll see a little bit more heads up play in there. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you get notifications when new videos go live. And if you'd like to catch me playing live, there's a link to my Twitch page in the description down below. You can jump on over there, drop a follow so you get notifications for that as well. With that said, that's going to be it for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.